tinfoil hat all made and down tight over your ears. So take it away, David Mecky.
Hey, thanks, Nighthawk. You got it. We are going to take it. We're going to run with it. This is Dave and
Mecky.
It's our shiny side out on WCCR, coming to you for Revolution Radio from Australia on revolution.radio. That's the website name. That's all you type in, revolution, and then a full stop, radio. It's really cool. There's no .coms or .orgs or .co.uk, nothing. Revolution.radio. That's 3 times I said it, and that means you remember it. And you'll find that it is home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations you find in the chat room. And it's also a great place to get your merchandise, your Revolution Radio merchandise. Now, if you want, I'm just going to put this out there, if you want co-branded merchandise that has Shiny Side Out on it, you can go to shinysideout.net.au and you can buy our merchandise, co-branded merchandise. Just saying. Let's put it out there. Just going to throw it out there in case someone actually wants to buy something from us. So that's good, because we make no money. We while we have Patreon, Mecky and I, the station does too, we've received $0 at all from that, and it's wow. Okay, that's good. I know a lot of people who listen to this. I know people tell me they subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's where we put our archives. But funny that we should say that. Thanks, Amiga Logos has just informed me the stream is good, the audio is good. But the funny thing is, people listen to it and they tell me, but they don't subscribe. They don't donate. You've got to donate to the station, and you can actually provide us some amount of money. I don't care if it's once a month.
Ka-ching!
Patreon allows you to choose a dollar amount of your own,
Ka-ching!
and then the frequency at which that happens. So you could just do $1 a month. I don't really care. We do so many shows. We're 3 a week, right? So that's at least 12 shows a month we do. And what doesn't survive the community standards of YouTube, we put onto Rumble, and we have a Rumble channel there as well. So just putting it out there, please help us, help the station. Did you know that the station requires, on average, over all the time, the 10, 12 years we've been doing this, about $2,000 US a month to operate. That's what it requires. It is a lot of money for all the stuff that happens and all the licensing for all the software and all the cloud services that it now employs to be able to run. So if you can't help in some way towards the station, do tell people about it, because then there's a higher likelihood, like Mecky says before, each no is closer to a yes. So if you can tell people about it, then you're able to hopefully lift the average and the opportunity to get a yes, someone who can donate. And look, tell people about it. Like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, please help us and help the station. Do that. And if you just want to help us by sharing, commenting, do that. But if you learn anything from our show, then why don't you tell us? Tell us either in the chat room, because Mecky and I are in there right now. I'm called Narara because that's where I live. And Mecky's, you're in there, aren't you, Mecky? I'm sure you are.
Of course I am.
Yes, of course. And so look, do that. Now, if you're not watching us or listen to us live, I suppose you can do that because you can catch us on air live. You can be with us in the chat room, and that's what we can do. And you can do this either through a computer or on a smart device or a tablet or phone or whatever. And no one says phablet anymore, apparently. So grab an app. There's heaps of different apps you can use. or you can just listen at home at a Grace tabletop digital radio. You know, one day, Mackie, they're going to send me one. So if you miss Solaris' show, you laugh because I know it's not true. Now, if you missed Solaris' show with Miss B, it was awesome. Just going to say, I heard a lot of the second hour, like 90% of the second hour. So just putting this out there, Solaris, you have a fantastic show, fantastic guests, and Meccy and I would be honoured to do two things. One, be on your show if you ever feel inclined, Solaris. We'll be on your show. And I would love to be on, we would love to be on Miss B's show as well. I do.
Miss B actually said she wants to. Well, actually, I said I wanted to be on our show, and she said fine, but I haven't followed it up because it was just.
She spoke about that just in the last hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we have to get her on.
Let's get ourselves together and get ourselves out there onto some other shows as well.
Let's do that.
Yes,
Very good.
and please pass that on to Solaris, to Miss B, if you can. Now, for those who missed the website name, it's missb.net, and I'll pop that into the chat room. This is how we run. We run things here. This is how we roll. Miss B, so MISSBII.net. Go there, and she has she's great on socials, and so is Solaris for that matter. I always see who the guest is coming up in the days leading up to her show. Good on you. That's something I know that Meccy and I should be well versed in, but somewhat lacking. The reason why I don't do that at the moment, I have stopped doing it, is because through COVID, when I posted our show, we would get people hate on it. Hate. And then get shows deleted through, that went against community standards. I don't like it. They incited violence, which we never did. And we never even pretended to be medical people. So I really have a hard time withstanding the...
I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a
Thank
doctor.
you, doctor.
No, I'm not a doctor. When you get home, take some of these, send these, and some of these. Oh, thank you, doctor. Oh, I'm not a doctor. That's a Simpsons quote, by the way. Yes. Now, it's free to access the archives. So if you've missed Solaris' show and you don't know who we're talking about, absolutely go there. I implore you to go there. And the archives are free. Jump in there. You can download the files. They're MP3 format. And voila, then you're binging. All right? Do that. And you'll thank me, because you get access to all the host shows. Now, Meccy, you'll never guess I'm broadcasting from Darkinjung country. Whereabouts are you these days?
I was just about to guess that. Dara country.
I thought I didn't. Well, look, it's me that you're talking to, so it could have been anywhere, but it isn't. I don't have the money to walk down the street to the local shop.
He hasn't got the money to walk. I can only drive in my very expensive car.
The car's not so expensive, but the petrol is very expensive. Even though it dropped to, I think, $1.84 a litre.
Dropped. That's true. It plummeted.
Yeah, from $2.50. That's 70 cents. It's fell out the butt of it, but we'll see. Meccy and I, because of where we live, we've researched who the traditional custodians of the land are, and we do pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Meccy.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
All day long.
All day. Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It's like, today's Sunday. What? All day. Yeah, all day. Yeah. We saw this week. We saw two good things. This is SpaceX's fourth, big ship launch with the largest rocket ever made by humanity is going to launch, which is good. The flight test. It's only a test. And the other thing we saw was Donald Trump getting, I think, is it all 34 counts guilty So whatever it was, however many number, I don't even care. I lost interest in it all. And all the people who hated Trump anyway have taken this and run with it. So they're running with a flag down the street, defecating in public, just going, I'm making that bit up. That's from the last time they protested against him. Now they've got something to chew on, I suppose, and get their negative messages out about Trump. And that's good. Good for you. I don't care. Either way, what happens. I just hope that the law is equal in every case, in every single one. And I don't think it is. You know, where's Hillary in front? She's not in trouble for all the things that she's done with her emails.
Oh, Dave, he was a brave man, he was. I remember him. 6 foot tall, he stood with arms like tree trunks. Yeah, you talk about the Clintons, my friend. You knock yourself out.
Oh no, thanks. That was going to be on my tombstone, wasn't it?
That's right.
You're allowed to if you want to write that. I'm okay with that. So all I mean about Hillary is the world learned that there was some impropriety around a local private email server. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying whether she did anything or not, right? At all. I'm backing out of that one. I think that's my reversing alarm, right?
I think the Russian window cleaners are coming your way. that's now we do the floors too. We polish the floors, then we clean the window. We leave it open so it dries quicker. Yeah. It's good.
A little bit killing. So my office is on the ground floor, so if I fell out the window here...
How did he die? He fell out of the window. To his death. He broke every bone in his body.
He fell to his death out his window. Yeah. It's basically falling from a standing height.
Every bone was broken.
Yeah,
shattered.
wow.
All his bones were shattered.
Shattered to bits. He was a jellyfish when he landed.
Also, he seemed to have drowned, strangely enough.
On the way down.
On the way down.
The coroner's report was absent. And look, so the other one, I've seen the opposite of this, of the cheering and hollering of Trump's guilty findings, and I've watched the other side of the story where people are going, well, you know, it would be nice if it was fair across the board, and I've taken, you know, sliced it up, and that's where I stand. I'm in the middle, saying if you're going to do that, then you should be fair about it.
You should get all the billionaires, is what I think. If you know what to do with it, right?
With that starting your car.
Right? Whatever. No, but look, the thing is this. The thing is this. There's 136 years of jail time he could be sentenced for.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were 30-something offenses, and which he was all found guilty of, and each carries a 4-year maximum sentence.
And they won't be parallel sentence. It'll be a serial.
No, well, we don't know, right?
Who knows?
So I don't think he's going to go to jail. Well, that's just me, because the logistics would just be a nightmare. Just because
he has to have his security.
That's right.
Attachment in with him.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually sorry. I just want to unpack this just a little bit, just to show everybody how ridiculous this is. Okay, this is the first time a former president or sitting president, for the matter, was ever convicted of a crime, a federal, not a federal, a felony, a felony. Now it's a state crime, which means he can't pardon himself even if he becomes president.
That's right.
But it's just but the governor of New York State could pardon him, but that won't happen. But this is the kicker. So, as a convicted felon, Donald Trump can't vote in any election.
He can't vote for himself.
Stand.
That's one less.
There's one less vote for himself. That was the vote that wouldn't have it. Wouldn't that be funny?
If it was a tie.
He can run for president. He can even run for president if he's in jail. He can even be president.
In jail.
He can even be president in jail. and he can receive foreign dignitaries in his cell. That's not a problem. Now, of course, the scenario, while plausible, is completely ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen, if anything? So he's guilty. First of all, he's going to appeal. That's number one. He's going to appeal.
That's right.
Secondly, he will ask for I forget the legal term, but essentially what it means is he will make the argument that if he were to win the election, that is, he would make the argument that, well, this sort of supersedes any state conviction he might have, and he would then serve his sentence after he serves as president in his term.
And that's a reasonable request from his legal team.
Well, that's most likely if the appeal fails, right? If he's actually sentenced, and more so if he's actually sentenced to jail. If he's not sentenced to jail, then it doesn't really matter. Okay,
that's right.
It doesn't matter because he'll be fined. There might be community service, but as a historical thing, he'll be the first felon to sit in the White House. The first convicted felon to sit in the White House. And that's the difference here, right? Because I think in recent times, certainly, our politicians, this is a global thing, haven't really been cut from the finest ethical cloth. But, that's just my opinion. And
them heavy words, Mackie.
But the funny thing is this, and this is a really funny thing. When the founding fathers put together, everything, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and all kinds of things, right? They never envisioned anything like this could ever happen, right? Remember, there was no Republican parties, there was no Democratic Party. It was just America, is the land of the free. We just got a Constitution here. Look at us, right? Send us you're tired and hungry and whatever, and you're downtrodden. And I just wonder. I'm curious. I'm not against or for Donald Trump or against or for Biden. I do believe neither of them should run for president. That's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder what the founding fathers, if they had like some kind of time scope, if they could, so maybe they just awaken from a zombie-like sleep into the year 2024, and they go, what is this? I mean, can you imagine? Actually, okay, this is 250 years thereabouts since then, right?
Yeah, sure.
Can you imagine if they transported themselves 250 years to the present day and looked around the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. That's one, yeah, sure. But the rest of it, they would not be able to function in that world.
Wait,
I don't think.
There's so many things that they would exclaim.
I know.
We bought Alaska for how much? Right? All of it? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You're right. I did see a little piece yesterday on him still having 2 more trials to go through on separate issues.
That's different things. Yeah,
they are different things. And this is yet again another thing that I would contend, because he took home as president, he took home documents. I'm not saying what kind, that's up to the court to determine. But also, Joe Biden has done that for 20, 30 years. He's done that, and they've found them in all these different places. Also an unsecured garage with the garage doors open, right? I'm just saying I believe most presidents do it anyway, because you don't want the last or the new people to see the details. That's, I heard, the reason for most of it is so they can't unpick and unravel and argue and get you, and delete all these things that you've done, because some of them have other consequences, right? So look, I think that's kind of important, and that's what I said about being fair. I only want things to be fair. And if all of this happens, and he is found guilty, he's been found guilty. If his appeal loses and he is jailed and he does become president, what an extraordinary time. I agree, Mackie, that the people from the past, let's go back and get Lincoln, like Bill and Ted. We'll go back and Because
Socrates. I want Socrates.
Socrates. We called a cat Socrates after the character from Bill and Ted. Socrates. So, if someone saw today from 200 years ago, where people are walking around looking at these things they're holding, sitting around looking at these things they're holding, doing everything they do in the media and listening to the way we treat each other and the messaging from the government, I think if you place them back in their time again, they would write some new rules. I think that the shock value of them seeing how it's all turned out, I think they'd add some fine print. I really do. Because, look, we're so conditioned into this is just the way it is. Why? Does it remain the way it is? The 60s saw protests coming out the wazoo about the establishment in every facet of their civilization, not ours now. Today, we just let things happen. Why not? Right? Yeah. Oh, but I'm not a bad person, so surveillance isn't going to hurt me. Yeah? It's the biggest thing that allows it to happen. I heard something really interesting about Windows 11, the new release. And it'll take a screenshot every so many minutes as you use it. So it's searchable. The little AI companion thing that you have will be able to search back through that work. Now, who else has access to all those things that you can recall on your machine locally? I honestly, is this the right way to go? And there's nothing we can do about it. It's just the thing now. I know that phones do the same thing. They can take a photo and a screen grab at any frequency, and it doesn't matter what platform or what phone, from what I understand. I'm disappointed that we've allowed it all to happen, and it's all for the betterment of society, apparently. Isn't it crazy? So, using that reflective view, the honeymoon view of someone from the past coming to now, I think the shock value would be so great as to be dumbfounded that we allowed it to happen.
It is. I think it is that sentiment of allowing it to happen that we wouldn't understand, because the truth is, people used to take personal responsibility, I think, a lot more seriously. I don't think we do that anymore. I think we are very much, mollycoddled. We no longer have to make decisions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a real Australian word. It just means, crushed with kindness.
Like wrapped in cotton wool, protected from the outside world.
Yeah. Unnecessarily and damagingly so.
Yes.
I look around, right, and I see people accepting things. I accept things sometimes because I have no choice, but this has become, I think, our standard mode of operation, accepting things, unless something extraordinary happens, like, the situation in Gaza, which has inspired protests every weekend here in Sydney, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Ukraine, to a lesser extent, same thing. But the ills or the wrongdoings closer to home, they just go unpunished. No one looks at it. I mean, look, the biggest debacle I can think of in recent history is the submarines we purchased, and then didn't purchase, and then purchased from someone else. On the heels of a military alliance that is completely pointless. But nonetheless, here we are, there it is, and now there's billions and billions of dollars that just have gone down the drain. And okay, no, this is a catastrophic failure of oversight in our system. Politicians shouldn't have the power to make those kinds of decisions. That's insane. That is truly insane, and they're bad decisions. Not only that, then they go back on the decision, which costs more billions.
That's right.
And upset the French at the same time, right? And then, we make some more horrible and completely moronic decisions around this. I am, frankly, at the end of my wait. I see it, but what do we do?
But I not believe it.
I do not believe it. No, but truly, what can we do? Because we have the system in place, right? And to me, the system is completely broken. Is it the best system? No, I don't think so.
No, not at all. Not even.
People always say you live in the best possible world, or you've got the best possible system, or whatever, right? And I don't think so. I don't think that's true.
Oh, their view is very narrow.
Well, yeah, we have been led to be compliant. The biggest test for compliance was, of course, the pandemic.
Yes, it was.
Yes, horrible disease if you're elderly or you have a medical condition, right? Horrible.
Mm-hmm.
There's no worse way than not being able to breathe. That's just terrible.
That's right.
The ultimate, I think the fatality rate was around 2% or less. I can't remember thereabouts. And yet we agreed to be locked up for months on end, months and months. And in Australia, it was very pertinent, especially in Sydney, or certainly in Melbourne. There was this. We made examples of people that had come to this country for a better life, and living in, I guess, apartment blocks, high rises, and we just
in Western
locked them
Sydney.
down.
This was the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I am in Western Sydney, so I can attest to that, right?
The eastern suburbs, more affluent suburbs, were allowed to walk around the beach and enjoy themselves, but people in the west, in the lower socio-economic areas, were forced to stay within their buildings. Yeah. Couldn't even get Uber food.
Well, that's correct, and it was in fact so bad that it was actually picked up by the media.
Mm-hmm.
No, we can't ignore that one anymore. But the powers that be must think, this is brilliant. This went a lot better than we thought. Let's just look at it. Look at them. By comparison, the Spanish flu, which struck the world almost exactly 100 years
that's right.
before our pandemic, was a lot more fatal. Much more fatal.
We barely had the tools to reduce people's distress through that, let alone heal them or correct their problems.
Look, that's right. But people did the right thing. Anyway, they didn't have to be told, but they did follow all the right protocols, because the protocols back then, they were sensible as well. They were sensible protocols, right? But today, I'm sorry, but I look around, I look at what our children learn in school, and unless you're a child, and I know this from personal experience, in Australia I'm talking about, I think America is much worse, but unless your child is gifted or identified as, forget gifted, if your child is identified as gifted, then there's a chance that they will actually be stimulated intellectually and learn, right? But each child has different needs. You can't just, it's funny. I saw this beautiful cartoon, Dave.
What was it?
And it was 4 animals. There was a monkey, there was an elephant, a zebra, and I think there was a goldfish in its bowl, right? And they were all sitting on chairs. Or in the goldfish's case, they were sitting. It was on the table, like in school, those chairs and the tables in school. Yeah. And in front of them stood a teacher in his little mortarboard. And behind the students, not the children, was a tree. And what the teacher said, all right, we'll now evaluate how well you can climb a tree. And that'll be determining your future. And that's exactly what we're doing to our children. Okay? A monkey, an elephant, a zebra, and a goldfish, all climbing a tree. And our children are varied and different and unique in their own ways, and nobody, unless you get a really good teacher, nobody gives a hoot. This is the curriculum. This is what you have to learn. we're asking our 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old children to sit still for an hour at a time. For an hour at a time.
This would be on the
No
test.
play. Just be on the test. And then we'd expect them to do that consecutively for several hours, for 3, 4, 5 hours a day, with a couple of breaks in between. That is complete insanity. But it is absolutely necessary for our machine. For the machine to work, we need to teach our children like that, because they need to become useful cogs in the machine. Doesn't matter what cog you are.
But the
we'll figure it
machine's
out.
changing, Mickey.
Yeah, the machine is changing. In fact, the machine is changing to the point where, we really have to start wondering, well, what should we teach our children to work in the new world? But as the machine is changing, and we've discussed this, we've created these underclasses of workers, which have no rights at all. They're
That's right.
essentially independent contractors without any legal anything.
That's right.
It's amazing. It's like, have you got any insurance? No. Oh, okay. Right. But you still want to, you still fly? No medical insurance? No. Okay. You can you afford a seat? No, I can't really afford a seat. So you just lie on the floor. Yeah. No. You can't have a seatbelt in the flight? No, I can't afford a seatbelt in the flight. Okay. So wait, I'm just going to sit on the floor in the aisle as we take off. That's what I'm going to do. That's what these people are in relation to work. There's nothing for them. They just use a platform.
So Meki is not belittling any particular company, but as an example name, it's like DoorDash or Uber Eats or whoever, or even Uber driving, where you're doing rideshare.
Yeah,
you sign up, and you're not specifically obligated to the client or the corporation. You're just a task-based person who takes some margin. That's it.
The only thing that happens here is that you're using a platform, just like you would be using Hotmail. Send your emails, you're using a platform here to get work orders or jobs through.
That's right.
There's no relationship between you and the platform other than that you're a user. Okay, that's what you are, and you have no relationship with the makers of the platform at all. They didn't hire you. There was no interview. They didn't do a background check. There's nothing. Secondly, if you're sick or you can't do the work, well, then you just don't do the work. It's very simple.
There's no sick pay. That's right.
Yeah, but even if you, if you don't use the platform, then fair, don't use it. I don't care.
That's right.
That's whereas, and you also have no relationship with your customer.
Mm-hmm.
None. The customer, on the other hand, also has no relationship with anyone other than the platform.
That's right.
There's no human interaction required to essentially to dish out the work or receive the work.
That's right. It's all automated.
And that, I think, in part at least, is what Dave is referring to, because we're doing away with labor. Years ago, I had a little presentation I gave to my company at a retreat. I called it the end of labor, and because that's what's happening. The greatest dream of a capitalist is to have no employees. That be no people. What? Oh, brilliant! Because there's no people cost, no sick people. You have to worry about people. It doesn't matter. People are essentially a nuisance. Okay, for a corporation, people are a nuisance. If you didn't have to have people, they would gladly not have any people. You just have management, right?
That's exactly right. Now, I've got a friend of mine back in the 90s who made it one of the first B2Bs with no employees. And that's it. He needed some swivel chairing first, and once he got the whole thing established, then he was able to just be him with some required directorship, because proprietary limited, and for a board, and then that's pretty much it. And he was just making margin off everything there was, right?
Yeah.
I remember TechPack used to send you a gift if you did an order of a certain amount. He was then on selling the gifts.
Yeah.
So he did it like someone today who starts to, resell drop shipped orders on Amazon directly from the manufacturer, don't care what country, usually China, right? So if the order can get placed direct to that manufacturer, who's then capable of sending it to anyone on the planet, you're just making margin. They're selling their goods. They don't care, right?
That's right.
And that's what every business wants to turn into. It's a staffless company of just producing money out of thin air.
There's a fundamental problem with this model, and the spread and the ubiquitous nature of its reach. And that is simply that if we were living in a world like that, there would be nobody left to purchase any of the goods or services, because then there'd be no more jobs for anyone. Right?
There's no one that'll have any money to do anything.
No.
But
so,
UBI, Meki, bring it on.
That's the thing. And at the stage left, Mr. What's his name? Schwab. Yeah, it's your wage. You have nothing, but you have wages. There you go. Big high. Yeah, sure.
So that's the only thing that would keep the economy going, is digitally providing people with money to spend.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. Because without the universal basic income to every person on the planet, we would see the destruction of society.
But we are actually destroying it. And I tell you why.
Yes, completely.
We are, because, number one, you take purpose out of people's lives. They become purposeless, which is a terrible thing. Because what escape do you have? You have drugs, alcohol, maybe crime, just because you're bored or because you have nothing else, right? And we see this we see it with indigenous communities everywhere.
That's right.
And then secondly, right, because you now have no longer any need for, I guess, commerce, right? You're not producing any more value. So you have to ask yourself, what is our civilization for? Because you have to really ask yourself. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, right? But if it were to happen in the extreme, and we went down this path all the way, right, and we got to the point where most of us lived on government provided income. First of all, where does the money come from? Well, the answer is
just made up, mate.
Nowhere. That's right. It's going to make it up, exactly. But secondly, what is our purpose then, as a civilization? What are we striving towards?
Where our striving is to attempt to spend the money that they've given us before it expires. We'll have a mission. Our mission will to be actually spending the money in the economy before it expires, because then we'll have nothing until the next pay comes through.
That's the individual, I guess.
Oh yeah, but as a group or a nation, a community, what are we going to do?
As a civilization, I mean, what is driving us? I mean, we used to have driving force. We're explorers at heart. That's who we are. We're explorers, right? We're builders, and we're destroyers as well. But we're builders, explorers. We're exploring, the ocean, the moon, this space, as it were. If people don't see a future like that anymore, would they still bother to go to school? Yeah, I guess they would. Just to get the basics. But what we see then is a shift of our civilization into what I like to call the Morlocks and the Eloi. Now, I don't know if you've read H.G. Wells's Time Machine or not, but the Eloi were the people that lived on the surface of the earth, and the Morlocks kept them pretty much as food. The Morlocks had to move to the underground and become ogre-like cave dwellers. But that's where we're going, because the parasites would now become the driving force of civilization, because they have it all. They would give their children the best education with genetic engineering, probably the best genetic outlook on life as well, longer lived. We already know, we've had a show on this, that if you have less stress in your life, the telomeres you pass on to your children are shorter than people that have much, like if you're stressed out, your telomeres are shorter. And your children's telomeres, as a result, will be shorter. The ones that you give them. So we're already starting down that way. So we can, of course, do this now much faster with CRISPR and other tools as they come online, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to split into two distinct species of humans in the not so distant future.
Well, you know, the AI people tell us 3 years. That's all it's going to take, 3 years, for us to, the majority of people, to be out of work.
Yeah,
We're
I wasn't
almost
surprised.
there. Yeah.
It goes quick, guys. See, we say this again, and I have to repeat it because it bears repeating.
Mm-hmm.
When things go bad, they go badly very, very quickly. Okay, so things go along. We all feel like this is a civilization that will last forever. And I'm reminded of this poem by I think it was Shelley. I'm gonna double check this. Ozymandias, right? There's a traveler, and he travels through the desert, and he sees these ruins, or even just a wall. Okay, and one of the tablets under a broken head of marble says, watch me, for I am Ozymandias, and I have done these great works, etc., etc. And of course, the meaning is that of course, well, no, there's nothing left of what you've done.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what it says. My name is Ozymandias, the king who rules over even other kings. Behold what I have built, etc., etc. Right? And there's nothing left. Mm-hmm. And it was Shelley, by the way. I was right. It was Percy Bysshe Shelley. Anyway, King of Kings, and that's. I mean, it's nothing is going to be left. There won't be anything left at all, and because there's no such thing as a forever civilization. There isn't. The Roman Empire, 1,000 years. That's pretty good. Hitler wanted 1,000-year Reich. That's what he wanted. Mm-hmm. He wanted to rule for 1,000 years, because even he knew can't really ask for more than that. Was a lot shorter than 1,000 years, but.
Well, the world's kind of turning into the thing he planned.
Well, that is,
kind of.
Kind of.
Mackie, I want to put this out there. Remember the A ship and the B ship, and the B ship flew into the sun?
All the telephone cleaners.
Yes, the telephone hygienists and the hairdressers. Yeah. Well, who's to say that won't happen? If space travel is getting so cheap, and we're seeing the perpetual evolution of even like the most massive things that have ever been set free into the cosmos, right? We're doing right now, and this is the finalization of this project to be able to escape the elite away. That's what I think it is. I don't think it's the you and me. I don't think it's the guy that's got a face full of coal dust, right? Or the guy that does roofing materials, right? Or concreting. I don't think those people are going to be the ones going to Mars to live in the new world order, right?
Probably not, but the human race can be separated into three main layers, mm-hmm. and always has been. It's really funny. The smallest fraction of us are the ones, the visionaries, the thinkers, the doers, the ones that push us forward. When I say doers, I mean doing something new. Mm-hmm. They're also the ones we like to nail to a cross or burn on a stake, right? and maybe that's why there's such a small number of them. But there's only a few of these. The next layer are the people that realize, hey, what this guy is saying is right, but they're not helping us. Or, they're not helping the visionaries. But once the visionary is dead, they go, hey, that was a pretty good idea, and they start talking about it, and they're the parasites that take advantage of it, right? They're the guys that Dave is talking about. The third group, which is by far the largest, is the rest of the people, which are, they just want to live their life. They have no ill feeling necessarily toward anyone, unless it's stoked, and they don't really have, high-flying ambitions of ruling the world or anything like that. They just want to live their life, have maybe a family, and be left alone and just do their own thing. And thank you very much. Just leave me in peace. That's the majority of the human race. So you've got the visionaries, right? The drivers. Again, we like to nail them to a cross. That's good. And then you've got the people that see the value
in what they're saying. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they can't think it up themselves. They're not smart enough or visionary enough, but they take advantage of it once that person is out of the way, right? And they're ruthless about it. And then, of course, the rest. So those are the three stratas of people that we consist of as the human race. I'm oversimplifying, you know? But what happens when you take the vast majority away? Well, the answer is nothing will get done.
That's right.
Because visionaries, it's all well and good to be a visionary, right? But
I know.
you need people to translate that into something actual, right?
Yeah.
And the parasites they're not going to do the work, are they? So this is great. Sorry, another cartoon. It's half a ship. It's half a sailing ship, right? It's not taking water. It's just half a sailing ship with one guy rowing.
Yeah.
And in the back of it, where the captain's quarters usually are, there's an open table with maybe 10 or 12 executives. Mm-hmm. And the caption reads, "After all these cuts, why isn't the ship going faster?
That's
What is happening here?" Yeah, one person rowing here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. It's so good an analogy of how people see themselves in a business restructure. I just think that's hilarious, to be honest. So I see the parasitic class are the ones that spruik the message. Yeah, they're the ones who have earned themselves money on other people's backs, and they will only continue to have their status as long as we still exist. That's what I see as the linchpin in the design of them having to still rule over something. Otherwise, they're just ordinary people. If we no longer existed and the parasitic class was the only thing left, then, as a Freudian slip, then they wouldn't have anything. Because you can't lord over nothing.
That's right.
And I think the only way to perpetuate their lording over us is, I think that's well in motion, and separating the chasm so we can never attain that. Just repeating a message we say almost every show, but we can never. It's never attainable for us. Even if we invented something tomorrow, Mackie, we couldn't earn enough money to jump the fence, right? Oh, would we want to? Probably not. Yeah, but having said that, that's what the universal basic income completes, is just giving us only enough money, which in my prediction is enough to keep the economy rolling without it collapsing. And we've got right now a pretty good idea about how much that would be per person to spend. Not save, you can't save it because you can't, it expires. And limiting our travel. If we didn't have to go to work, imagine the pollution reduction on the planet. If we didn't have to go.
Oh, of course.
Right? Already we're fixing the environment by doing that. I mean, the environment's got its own grief. I get that, right? But COVID showed everybody that cares that it doesn't take very long at all. In fact, just a couple of months. And the wildlife comes back to the streets if we're not there.
Of course.
If you don't have gondola people stirring up the muddy bottom in Venice, then the water's pristine and dolphins come back. Yeah? So just remember how quickly it all can reverse from this mess we've made from industrialization. I don't hate industrialization. I hate the fact that people poo on it, right? I don't like that part. We're all living in a world full of examples of how brilliant our manufacturing processes have become. My goodness, how good is this with the internet and flat screens showing some of the best resolution, VR. my goodness, the new VR, so Pimax Crystal is so fantastic that if you woke up with it on, you might not know, except for the weight on your head, right? From it's about half a kilo, about a pound. Or is it? Yeah, 2.2 pounds is a kilo, isn't it? Something like that. I forget. So whatever it is, it's about 500 grams of weight on your head. If you didn't feel that, then you would not know that you're in VR. It looks so fantastic. So where we're at with everything we have, that's only from technological point of view. I don't mind eating, created meat in a factory or 3D printed meat. It doesn't concern me at all. That does not concern me. As long as there's no new introduced chemicals into it. In fact, I'd prefer to eat less hormone-laden meats and foods and go back to a more natural diet. Or possibly just on the Matrix, you just eat this sort of white smoopy goop and that's enough for your whole day, right? I don't care. I don't care about it. I'll miss all the beautiful foods that we have, but I would be happy eating such little amount as that just to keep going. But would I be happy with universal basic income? I actually probably at this point in my life, sure, why not? But you wouldn't receive it unless you gave it up. You had to give something up, and you'll probably give your house or your land or whatever it is, whatever you own, to give back to the government in order to receive this amount of money. I believe that it's not going to be free. There'll be some kind of cost or something to it. Not your firstborn, but rather something financially. I don't know what the cutoff would be where you don't have to do that anymore. Is it you have 10 houses? I don't know. Do you have to have $1 million in the bank in some way for you to get a universal basic income? Do you just give it all up? Do you give them the money? I don't know what it is. And I can't imagine what that's going to cost us, both socially and financially, because it's only going to be there to maintain our civilization. Because it can go lawless in a minute. We can be fighting over toilet paper, for crying out loud, Mackie. And I'll give you the final comments.
No, look. The question though is, are there still enough people that would not want to give up things? And I would say yes.
Yes.
I think right now there's still enough people around. Like, no, I worked too hard for this, and I'm one of them.
Me too.
It's not going to happen. But going forward, the move to minimizing everything, and especially these days, well, I can't buy a house anyway. I mean, it's not just in Australia, it's like that. In other places of the world, owning a house is also getting a lot harder. Okay? And, well, if I can't buy it anyway, then, maybe I don't need one. I can't find a job. Well, how will I pay for stuff? I mean, we are forcing people into decisions they wouldn't have made otherwise. We're taking away hope and future. And once you've done that, Dave, then of course people will say, yeah, sure, well, I'll take the universal income. I'll take the whatever housing you give me because I got nothing else, right? You've taken away all my choices, right? I can't do anything else. It'd be stupid of me to say no. That's a few years away, I think, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know, brother.
I think it's getting here quicker than we think. I still think 3 years is around about the amount of time, both from the AI creators' perspective, who are talking about this, and from the financial industry, and from our government, from all these multiple vectors that we're seeing. I know there's also a push to have our children go through compulsory military for a year at least. So look, I don't know, watch this space. Message us, talk to us, leave comments in the videos. Anyway, that's the end of the first hour. When we come back, we'll be talking about the parasitic system, fiat currency and fractional reserve lending, part 6. So stay tuned.